Hey, buddy. So, yeah, the reason why I asked if you've got any kind of launch monitor numbers is just to check this face and path. Very good job with the knees. We can still obviously just continue to do that, mate. Continue to feel that, during the transition, the knees are kissing together a lot more. One thing I want to mention though, right, is I think, when making changes on the golf swing and kind of chopping and changing between a few different things sometimes, depending on how the results are going, I think there's always something that a golfer will do that's in their DNA, and we always have to watch it. You hear guys on TV, right? They're always doing their checkpoints, like Tommy Fleetwood working on the same drill over and over. And the reason being, mate, is they have the same issues every time they go out. They just need to, maintain those issues. So to me, I think you do get a little bit, I still think there's a little bit we could improve through here, okay, through the cupping of that lead wrist. I reckon, mate, if you just felt like that flexed ever so slightly, would get that angle to change a little bit more. Now, why do we want to change that? Well, to me, the club just gets a little, when you start the downswing and you get this upper body moving a little bit too, too early, you can see how the club's kind of working through the torso area. Now, for me, where you get the pulls are from an outside in path. So the path moving a little bit too far, this is exaggerated, but out to in. And then you occasionally close the face on one and we get a pull, or we leave the face open and we get a cut. So what we'd want to be trying to do is, if we can actually let that lead wrist just flex a little bit. Number one, we're going to close the face more. Okay, we're going to have more shut face. Number two, if we can continue coming down with the feeling of that lead wrist slightly in flexion, it's going to shallow the club. Now, what would shallow the club do? Well, the club would then come down, I guess, a little bit more, let's say through the forearm area. So it's a lot more shallow. And then that's going to give us a path a little bit more into out, and a ball flight that starts, online and draws, or even just a little bit right and draws, if that makes sense. So from a feedback perspective, right, we're looking for balls that start maybe a fraction right of target and draws. Anything that starts left and draws is either too much of a closed club face, or a path that's too out to in with a face that's closed. Now, what else does strengthening that club face do for you? Well, if we look at the face-on view here, to me, we lose a lot of our angle very quickly. So what I mean by that is, on the way down, right, a lot of people call it lag. You're pretty good in this spot here, but as we approach the ball, you tend to let it all go, right? So by the time the hands are at thigh opposite the right thigh, you've lost a lot of your power, right? So, I'm not saying this is an absolute, but by the time lead arm is parallel to the ground, we have this club still here, which is great. As we continue through the swing, because your face is slightly open on the way down, right? You have to release it. You have to get this golf club to get wider before you enter the ball. Because if we kind of, for a better word, cast this golf club, right, we are closing the face, right? So anyone who's got an open face coming down is going to lose a lot of their quote unquote lag, and it's going to ensure that the face closes in time. That kind of hang back, and we kind of wait for the club face to meet the ball. So you see yourself losing it quite early on here, okay? And then even at impact, like, I know it's a bit of a blurry image here, but you could argue that, hands are here and the club's kind of like flipped this way almost, right? So we're kind of, in a way, almost adding loft. Now, without the numbers, it's hard to say, but it definitely looks that way, right? As opposed to, let's remove all of that, as opposed to, like, if your hands were about here, we'd kind of want to see the golf club still roughly in this area here. It's kind of somewhere over here, But we can't do that with an open face. We have to release that club. We have to get that club back to the ball by casting it, and that casting action means that the face closes down. So by strengthening this club at the top, by strengthening this face at the top, it allows us to hold that angle a little bit longer and start to rotate into the ball better with some shaft lean. Okay, so I want you just to keep working on the stick drill here, and then I want you just to try and feel like this lead wrist is a bit more flexed. Okay, try and strengthen that club face up, and you'll find that this stuff probably improves on its own. All right, so but really good work at the moment, mate. Doing a good job, and send me another video very soon with the feeling that that left wrist is more